Actually, Joey Hudson in for Mike on this Friday, headed into the Memorial Weekend. Glad to have you. 800-655-MIKE, 800-655-6453 is how you join today's conversation. You know, parents should never have to worry about sending their children off to school, off to college campuses. But that's not always the case because, unfortunately, we're losing these young kids to hazing. There's an informative column that is in a popular newspaper in my home state of South Carolina, the Post and Courier, that addresses information that all parents and grandparents of college students need to be aware of. It's titled, "New Data Show South Carolina's Hazing Problem is Broader Than You Think." The column is written by Cindy Hips and Elizabeth Allen. It reads, "For South Carolinians, the name Tucker Hips is synonymous with the fight against hazing. Tucker, a 19-year-old Clemson student and pledge at Sigma Phi Epsilon, died in September of 2014 after an early morning run with fraternity members and other pledges near the Clemson campus. His death and the subsequent activism were instrumental in the passage of the state's Tucker Hips Transparency Act, which basically says that schools have to publish on a easy-to-find website any incidents of a campus fraternity or sorority." Joining us today is Elizabeth Allen, one of the authors of this. Elizabeth is professor of higher education at the University of Maine, where she leads the Hazing Prevention Research Lab. She's also principal at stophazing.org, where she founded and currently leads the Hazing Prevention Consortium. Elizabeth, welcome. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Sure thing. Appreciate you spending a few minutes of your day with us. Let's start with a quick summary of what your organization, stophazing.org, does.
Yeah, so it's our mission to help prevent hazing in schools, colleges, universities, and other organizations. We take research and we translate it to practice. So we create resources, no-cost resources for colleges and universities, for high schools, and we create information for parents and the general public to use to be informed about hazing and to build skills and awareness for how to report it and prevent it.
Yeah. In 2008, you were the lead investigator for the National Study of Student Hazing, the most comprehensive study of student hazing in the U.S. You're presently leading an effort to update the data, as I understand it. There have been a good bit of awareness since 2008, unfortunately, because we've had other incidents of death as a result of hazing. Do you believe things have improved on campuses around the country since you published your first data?
Well, that's a great question, and that's going to be part of our study. You know, we're relaunching the national study next year, and that will help to provide a point of comparison to the 2008 data. I mean, so much has changed since 2008, of course, in our world, and so it's really important to get some updated data. I think, as you mentioned, we've continued to see lives lost due to hazing. There have been more than 100 deaths since 2000.
Wow.
And those tragedies tend to make the headlines. But there are other forms of harm that happen from hazing that, people never see or hear about. And so, we want to update the data so we have a better picture of the nature and extent of hazing currently. And I think we know, based on anecdotal data, based on the work that we do with colleges and universities, we still know that the problem is fairly widespread. And there are, concerns about the harm that's happening. And it's not just in colleges and universities, it's in high schools as well. And research indicates it may be happening as early as middle school.
Yeah. On our guest line today, Elizabeth Allen with stophazing.org. Elizabeth, do other states have similar laws like the Tucker-Hips Transparency Act? And how does this new federal law that was just passed in December, the Stop Campus Hazing Act, work in conjunction with the state laws?
Yeah, so great question. There are currently 9 states that require transparency, that have some kind of statute requiring colleges and universities to be transparent, to provide the public with information about hazing incidents, South Carolina being one of those states. As you mentioned, the Stop Campus Hazing Act, signed into law in December, is going to require all colleges and universities across the nation to file, to have a transparency report that's publicly available online in a prominent location on their website. So we will soon have information shared. And again, this is for documented hazing incidents that have been reported and found in violation. So
sure.
So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So, as I understand it, and I know how the Tucker-Hips Transparency Act, how it operates in my home state of South Carolina, but both of these laws, they're focusing on reporting. But do you think that they're being effective, and are school officials taking action when they receive these reports?
Well, I mean, first of all, you're right. They're based on reported incidents, and we know from the research that we've done that very, very few, a very small percentage, less than 10% of incidents are actually reported by the students.
Yeah.
So, so we're only seeing a small fraction, and then what happens after it's reported is difficult to know for sure. I think it really ranges based on what we know, depending on the school policies, depending on the state laws, depending on whether or not a college or university has a protocol in place for how they deal with an incident when it's reported. And we're definitely seeing more colleges and universities taking action to be prepared and to inform their students about how to report a hazing incident, how they can do so anonymously, which is important, and what to expect when they report, and also being more transparent, as we talked about earlier, about what the result of the investigation was.
Sure. Elizabeth Allen is with me today. You can go to her website, stophazing.org, and see all the information. This is a real problem. If you have a child in school, or if you're a grandchild in school, you need to be aware of this. Elizabeth, most of this is focused on the Greek community on the campuses, but I was surprised to learn that it's not just the Greek organizations, though. I mean, hazing occurs in other campus life as well.
You're exactly right, and I think many more people need to learn that and to be aware of it, because we found in the 2008 study that 55% of college students who participated in some kind of club, team, or organization had experienced hazing. And while many of those were in fraternities and sororities, not all. We found that hazing was happening in athletics, of course, we've heard about that, but also in honor societies, in performing arts groups, marching bands, a cappella singing groups. We found it still happening in club sports and intramural teams even.
Yeah. Elizabeth, I appreciate the work that you do, and all these parents. It's sad to watch this. I've known Cindy and Gary Hips for a long time. I knew Tucker Hips from the time he was just a small child, and it's just been a sad time for the Hips family. But they've done a lot of work in educating parents so that they don't have to go through what they've gone through. In our final moment or so together, what is your advice to parents of children who may be looking at going off to college this fall?
Yes. So first of all, I just want to acknowledge Cindy and Gary and all they've done. in the wake of the tragedy, and to raise awareness on this issue, to work to help support and lobby for the Stop Campus Hazing Act. I think, building on their work, we are trying to get the word out to more parents. We have a blog post on our website on stophazing.org that is 10 tips for talking with your teen about hazing. And I think that's what's most important, is to not delay the conversation, not assume that just because they're at a good school or they're going to a good place that hasn't had any incidents that you know of, don't just assume that everything's going to be okay. But just be prepared and have a conversation and talk about what hazing might look like, and what your student can do in terms of their options for if they find themselves in a hazing situation. And I would really strongly encourage families to be informed of, find out from their campus who the people are, where to go if they have a suspicion, because we know that students often talk with their friends and families about hazing situations when they don't report it officially.
Sure. Elizabeth, again, I appreciate what you do. I'll be following your organization as you do update the data there. StopHazing.org, StopHazing.org. Hope you have a wonderful Memorial weekend, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much. You too. Appreciate it.
Sure thing. Elizabeth Hand. Again, go to our website, StopHazing.org, because you need to be aware. If you have a child who is in college or looking to go to college, university this fall, this is a real issue. And I had to watch my good friends Cindy and Gary as they lost Tucker in 2014 in just a totally unnecessary situation, as he was a freshman at Clemson University, pledging and out for an early morning run, and lost his life because of this situation. And you never think that it's not going to happen to you, because these other families, these other parents have thought the same. So StopHazing.org.